The next few weeks or even months could be very difficult for Harvard University and maybe some of the other Ivy Leagues as well if they all come together against Trump administration's policies when it comes to the universities. To discuss this and more, I'm being joined by Rajdeep Sardesai, our consulting editor, who is at Harvard. He's there for a different reason altogether. Rajdeep, thank you for joining me. You're there for a conference and you're delivering lectures. Has the conference or has the meets that you're there for been completely overshadowed by the conversations that are taking place with regards to Harvard University versus Trump administration?
Thank you very much, Geeta. Look, this is a huge university campus. There are lots of activities across lots of institutes that go on here in Harvard. But yes, there is a talking point, certainly, of what the Trump administration is trying to do to Harvard in a way to defang Harvard or defund Harvard. The latest news coming in that the Trump administration now wants a record of all the foreign students who are here at Harvard and has even threatened that in the future they could cancel visas for foreign student admissions. So clearly the Trump administration is upping the ante. But Harvard believes that it is on strong legal footing, that the laws of the United States, particularly the First Amendment, when it comes to freedom of speech, also protects academic freedom and will prevent, beyond the point, the Trump administration from interfering in Harvard's decisions on hiring or admission policies. Yes, the Trump administration, Geeta, can possibly attempt to withdraw some of the federal grants that it gives Harvard, and it's already said it's doing so, more than $2.7 million worth of grants. But beyond that, can the Trump administration actively decide Harvard's policies? Harvard is ready, the university is ready through legal help to take the Trump administration, if necessary, to court. So this will be interesting to see to what extent can Trump go in taking on the Ivy League universities. He seems determined to do so, but equally one senses a determination on the part of Harvard this time to hold on to its space and its ground.
Right. Also, Rajdeep, Harvard for now is going it alone. Although there are a lot of other universities who've come out in support of what Harvard is doing. They've put out statements in solidarity, so on and so forth. But in terms of action, do you see them actually come together in this fight against the Trump administration at all?
That's a good question, Geeta. Look, if you recall, it was about a week or 2 weeks ago that Columbia University appeared the first that was ready to negotiate and almost succumb to the demands that the Trump administration was making on them, particularly in the context of the protests that had taken place on the Columbia University campus on the Gaza issue. But ever since Harvard's President Alan Garber issued that statement saying that the university would not succumb to the demands being made by the Trump administration, and that statement came out on Monday, Columbia University also now is trying to draw a red line and saying that they are watching with very great interest what Harvard has done. So the possibility of all the Ivy League colleges coming together cannot be ruled out, if necessary, taking the Trump administration to court. There's a sense that this matter will eventually end up in the courts. Because, look, Donald Trump is very clear. He's actually walking the talk. He's during his campaign, you will recall, Geeta had taken on these universities, calling them urban elite institutions that were catering to left liberal ideologies, and even accused them of anti-Semitism. Now, anti-Semitism is a very sensitive issue, and that's where I think a number of former Harvard alumni have rallied around the university, saying that's taking the attack on these universities a step too far. Remember, these are universities that are very well financially endowed. Harvard's financial endowments go to over $50 billion. So Harvard has the financial muscle to some extent to take on the Trump administration. But we'll have to wait and see to what extent is Donald Trump willing to go to try and ensure that the executive can control these universities. And I think this is just one of the many battles that will be fought in the United States over the next year. We are already seeing battles over deportation. That's the big issue. The other big issue at the moment, a US court threatening contempt against the Trump administration for
Right.
not bringing back an El Salvador citizen, an El Salvador deportee back to the United States. So I think Mr. Trump has opened a number of flanks, and this is only the latest one.
You're at Harvard, Rajdeep. Are there Indian students who are coming up to you talking about how worried they are? Indians in the US worried and really discussing the matter? What's the feel that you get, the sense that you get about the situation on the ground?
That's very interesting, Geeta, because again, yes, there are Indian students, especially undergrads, who are obviously worried, given that there is so much of noise around what Donald Trump is doing. And when you hear of students having their visas being revoked in other parts of in other universities, it has an effect. It has a chilling effect on many students who are obviously worried. Not just the issue of visas being revoked, but also research grants. I was at MIT only yesterday, and there also the concerns are: will some of the research grants be withdrawn? And that is, I think, the larger worry that many of these universities have. That to what extent is the Trump administration willing to go to diminish what traditionally has been seen as the soft power of the United States, bringing in students from different parts of the world, including India. Does the Trump administration really want to send out a message to many of the friendly countries, including India, that your students are unwelcome here? So I mean, while there is concern, there is worry, and I would say that there is also the hope that when it comes to university admissions, the Trump administration will not act in a manner that is prejudicial to the interests of students from countries like India. But with Donald Trump, you don't know. I think what worries people, Geeta, is the sheer uncertainty that has been
Right.
put in place, because every day there is some new order that comes in place. The latest, of course, being the threat of going through the identity of all the foreign students and their activities on the campus.
And the Homeland Secretary Rajdeep saying that they will disallow visas to anybody who's gotten admission at Harvard. That brings me to my final two questions. There are Indian students who've gotten to. This is that time of the year when admission letters drop in your mailbox, and you have Indian students who've gotten through Harvard and are now sitting worried because they might lose the first semester. They might not just be able to go for the first semester.
Well, obviously, given what the Trump administration has said, there will be concern. But I still believe that the legal footing that Harvard and other Ivy League universities stand on is pretty strong. The Trump administration will have to give very cogent reasons as to why they're denying visas to students. Look, over the years, thousands of students from not just India but across the world come to universities like Harvard. Is the Trump administration willing to risk the opprobrium and the criticism that will follow from, as I said, friendly countries? Is it willing to risk the fact that there will be those who will be concerned about research grants being cut? It's one thing for the Trump administration to battle the Ivy League college administrations, but are you going to take it out on the students? As you said, many of them have already got their admissions. They've gone through a pretty grueling process to get into these top schools. So while there is concern, I think many people, particularly the academics I speak to, are hopeful that this will be settled before the new term begins, which will be in August. So there is a 3-month period within which many of these matters should hopefully be resolved.
And interestingly, my final question, Rajdeep, you're at Harvard. Beautiful. You've been at most of these top universities where debates are allowed, freedom of speech, protest is part of life of a university student. Now, with retrospective effect, Trump administration is taking action against students who might have protested during Biden administration. How fair do you think all this looks when we've been told, we've grown up knowing that you're allowed to protest? That's the only time in an individual's life where you protest against governments things that you don't think are right or things you want to stand up for. And today, all that is being questioned here.
Absolutely, Geeta. You put it very well. Protest has been part of American campus life for decades, and we can go back to several significant events where American universities almost set the trend for protest movements against what they saw was perceived injustice. But clearly, the manner in which the Trump administration has acted against students who are involved in those protests during the Gaza war would suggest that there will now be some kind of a restraint on students. I think that is one of the unfortunate fallouts of what Trump has done, that the ability of students to protest on campuses, to speak as freely as they want, will in some way be constrained. America is protected, or American citizens are protected by the First Amendment. But I do know for a fact that many American students, many non American students in particular, are worried that if they were to participate tomorrow in any protest, they could have the heavy hand of the state working against them. And I think that will have an effect on future student protests. So I think you may have to have a period where American universities or American campuses will no longer become a hotbed for protest movements of any kind, whether the issues concern issues internally to America or external issues. So I think that long-term effect on American universities is certainly going to take place. But just the quality of academics and the quality of education that is available to Ivy League institutions, I don't think that's going to go away in a hurry. I was, as I said yesterday, at MIT, and some of the wonderful work being done, cutting edge research, innovation, many of them led by Indians. Amazing engineers who've come in from IIT. I don't think that's going to stop. But yes, I think students wanting to protest on global issues or indeed on American issues, I think you will find less and less space available for sit-ins. That's where college administrations may well have to draw some kind of a red line, which was not there in the past.
Rajdeep, you have a very important lecture tomorrow, so wishing you the best. Thank you so much for joining us for now. Thank you.